This is Rogers TV. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of At the Heart of Business. I'm your host, Judith Tate. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. My first guest today is Leah Bandola, founder of Life Lessons Unlimited. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
So glad to have you back. So you were on the show a year ago.
Yes, and not a lot has changed since then, but a few things have been tweaked, shall we say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us what you've tweaked specifically.
Well, so I've been in practice for about 25 years as a counselor, and then over the years I have added several different methods and strategies and modalities, and have kind of come away more from the clinical aspect of things, and have added coaching to my repertoire. I'm a women's empowerment coach, and most recently, in the last several years, I've really been focusing on trauma relief. And I am in the process of being certified as a gentle trauma release practitioner. And that's basically where my focus is now, and heaven knows we need it right now. A lot of people are really needing it, especially the trauma relief part.
So why have you specifically focused on that? What's going on, or what has the demand been?
Well, it was highlighted for me when I was doing work for Victim Services, which, for those that might not know, is counseling services. Well, they're all different services, but my part was doing counseling for people who were victims of crime. And the majority of those people that I worked with through there was domestic violence. And then other traumas as well, which it's all trauma. And that really showed me that, even though I was working with people on specific traumas that they were going through, what would come up was all kinds of other traumas from the past that had not been dealt with. And then trauma, when it hasn't been dealt with, tends to reside in the body and starts to manifest in physical things, as well as emotional and kind of cognitive issues.
That's very interesting. So give us some examples of how trauma can manifest physically.
Well, I'm going to say almost every physical ailment or disease has obviously stress at the root of it. We've heard this quite a bit, especially in recent years, that stress is what is behind cancer, heart disease, most diseases, certainly autoimmune diseases, which are becoming more and more known. And so what is the stress? Often the stress is caused by residual trauma. And we all have trauma. Everybody has trauma. And we, sometimes we're referred to it, the smaller ones, as little t traumas, and then there's the big T traumas, which are the ones we're seeing a lot recently, certainly in the news. And so, but all of them, when they go unaddressed, go down into the body, and then illness can happen. It can even be like weight gain that you just can't get rid of, no matter how much you're doing all the things, right? It can be aches and joint pains, that type of thing is how it kind of manifests in the body.
Oh, okay. So then who do you mostly work with? Like, who's your ideal client?
Right now I'm working exclusively with women, and that has evolved over the years because I did recognize that it's mainly women who have a tendency, because we have more of the tendency to be the nurturers and the caregivers, and it's everybody, we put everybody else first before ourselves, and we're not taking care of ourselves. And so when trauma hits, or extreme stressors, let's say, we ignore them. and we just keep going.
Yeah.
We're like the Energizer Bunny, you know.
Yeah.
And I lived this, and a lot of this comes from my own experiences and recognizing what was happening for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to Gentle Trauma Release. Was I was going through a very, very difficult time in my life, and I thought I was handling it all, and then kind of fell apart at one point.
Yeah.
And was, you know, introduced to Gentle Trauma Release, and it helped me tremendously in a very short period of time, because the protocol is to release from the body. And once that happens, it's not like I've forgotten all the stuff, like your memory is still there, but I don't have the emotional attachment to it. And that's what I've seen in the clients that I'm working with this as well, is the emotional attachment is released, basically.
Okay. So in a session, what does that look like? Is it a hands-on thing? Is it just like talking?
So I'm not hands-on at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of it is done via Zoom online. Yeah, so I can treat anybody anywhere in the world. And I basically teach you a protocol, and kind of the base of it, so I'm just going to show you a little bit, is this what we call rock and soothe. And this is how we start everything. And the rocking motion, if you think about it, who do we do that with initially? Babies, right? Like, I mean, I know when, especially my grandchildren, I would still be rocking even after I'd put them down. I'd be like talking to somebody, they'd be like, why are you rocking? And naturally, we know that as a soothing thing. It's all of it is really, and other protocols as well. There's many other, what we call somatic therapies out there, which all of them are really with the intention of stimulating the vagus nerve, which is a main nerve that goes all the way through our body, from the back of our skull, back of the brain, all the way through our body. Right down the center, basically. And it's a main ventricle, let's say, main nerve. And what happens is when we're in fight, flight, freeze, the stress response, that gets blocked. So we do things like rocking and soothing, and then there's a bunch of other things. And sometimes at first people will be like, you want me to what? You want me to hum? That's just part of it. What the brilliant professor of the Institute, she started an institute, the Gentle Trauma Release Institute. Her name is Isabella Viskapovic. She's I think she's in Ukraine, not Ukraine, sorry, no, not Ukraine. Anyway, she's in that part of the world. But she started this protocol, and it took her quite a few years. And what she did was she took different methods that were found to be working for people in trauma and combined them all. So there's EMDR is one of the more popular ones right now. Have you ever heard of EFT tapping? Yeah. So all of these methods are part of the protocol. So she has really kind of taken a bunch of different types of methods and combine them into this protocol. It's not a long protocol. It's 20 minutes. Right? And then once I teach people what to do, they can do this on their own at home.
Oh, that's good.
And you just do parts of it, or it's an amazing, amazing protocol.
Oh, that's good. Sounds very useful, especially at a time like this.
Wow, with all the trauma we're seeing in the world right now, especially the last few days.
That's been crazy.
You know, even snowstorms. I mean, we live in Canada, we come to expect it, but you know, snowstorms create their own set of potential traumas for people. You know, and there's car accidents, and there's all kinds of things. And then, so what happens is then the association gets made with that. Right? So people then who have been through maybe more difficult things, let's say with a snowstorm, they hear snow's coming, and all of a sudden that gets re-triggered in them. So it's about relieving that. That triggering.
That's a good point, because I know a lot of people get really freaked out when they think about even driving in the snow.
Yes.
You know, because so many accidents happen. And
absolutely. And I know a lot of people right now are questioning whether they want to fly ever again with the number of, you know, plane crashes we've been hearing about in a very short period of time. So that just really all shatters your safety sense. And that's what happens when we go into trauma, is our very sense of safety, which is a very basic sense from the thousands and thousands of years ago, like really humans
Yeah.
were and still are all about staying safe,
Yes.
staying alive, right?
Exactly.
So when anything threatens our perception of safety, even like you can be in your house perfectly safe, but if your mind is dwelling on, let's say, the plane crash. I keep coming back to that because I am a very nervous flyer at the best of times. And we're flying in 6 weeks. And I was like, oh no, like, you know, but then I used my calming systems and it was like, you know, you go through statistics and the chances of this happening and so on and so forth. But also it's just about repeatedly telling my brain, my mind, I'm safe. And in this moment, I am definitely safe, right? So it's part of it is bringing it back to the moment, and just sending that message to your mind that you're okay.
Yeah.
Right now, you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Tell us a bit about your women's empowerment coaching.
So that was actually how I ended up getting introduced to the gentle trauma release. One of my professors in my empowerment coaching certification ended up starting this institute, the Gentle Trauma Release Institute. But the empowerment coaching is really about helping women, and that's why I say we address sort of the traumas and the stressors, and because that's what keeps us stuck. So we got to get you unstuck first so that you can then really start to focus on what do you want for your life, who do you want in your life. So when you start to feel empowered that you can do whatever it is that you choose to do, because so often it's the very stressors in our lives that convince us we're not good enough, we can't do that, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm all the things, right? And what the empowerment coaching, and we use one of the main things that we do is we use a scale called the Map of Consciousness, which was created by Dr. David R. Hawkins. And it's highlighted in a book called Power versus Force, if anybody wants to kind of look at it. Right?
Yeah, really good
so
book.
what that is basically a scale of levels of energy and emotions, the attached emotions to it. And, you know, the lower levels include things like shame and guilt and fear and grief and anger and, you know, many of those emotions that we often will experience on a daily basis.
Yes.
But you can get stuck there.
Yeah.
And the goal is to go what I call up to the upper registry, where, you know, things like acceptance and peace and joy and love, and at the top is empowerment, enlightenment. And we can get to enlightenment, but we live in this world, so not many of us can stay up there for very long.
Yeah.
But really, it's about helping women in particular, again, to focus on what feels right for me. What do I want? How do I want to live my life?
Good.
Where do I want to go? What do I want to do to serve people? All of that is part of the empowerment coaching.
Oh, I love it. That's great. You're doing a lot, and it sounds like it's a lot to help people. Like, it's very timely, everything that you're doing right now.
Yes.
So how do you find that life work balance?
Oh, I've gotten that down really quite well now.
Yeah.
And it took me a lot of years. But I now have discovered that I am much better at everything I do. I'm a better wife, I'm a better mother, I'm a better coach, etc. When I'm taking care of myself first. So I have lots of things that I do on a daily basis that incorporates my self-care.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Leah. I feel that we could sit here and chat forever. It was nice having you again on the show.
Thank you so much. Love being here.
Yes, it's great. And stay tuned. We'll be up next with Lorna.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
We're in for something special. The best of the best. It's showtime, and away we go. We're going to drop the gloves right away.
The rivalry heated up. That was the greatest start to a hockey game ever.
It's murder in overtime. Look at that! What a goal! Oh, Binnington game saver! Connor McDavid scores for Canada! Best on best, and still the best!
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to At the Heart of Business, a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. I'm your host, Judith Tate, and my next guest today is Lorna Kennedy, who has a wonderful image and etiquette consulting business. Hi, Lorna.
Hi, Judith. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
You're welcome. So glad to have you. We had you on the show probably about a year ago, and you've added a couple of different things to your business. But first, tell us about your business.
Yes, thank you so much. So my business is Image and Etiquette Consulting. And what that does is to help people to be confident in who they are, how you present yourself, how you dress the body you have for your lifestyle, and bring you the confidence. So for me, what happened to me when I first came to Canada, I was humiliated in public because I came at a time when I didn't know how to dress for winter. And somebody laughed at me until when time came for me to train for etiquette. Etiquette taught me about first impression and how important that is. I embraced that. I brought it into my business when I was training for image consulting, and I tied the etiquette together because I don't see one without the other. We need our soft skills. We need our presence. So that's why I named Image and Etiquette Consulting.
Okay. And why is image and etiquette important in business?
Image and etiquette is so very important because that's the door opener.
Yeah.
That's what's going to give you your confidence. You're going for a job interview, you're going for a business meeting, or looking for clients across cultures. And when you're well represented, because 90% of our communication is our visual, what people are seeing, if they can trust you, if they can do business with you. So that's why the image is so very much important, and our etiquette skills, our soft skills, that's what's going to bring us over the top and give us that edge over the next person.
Now, I remember you told me about a story about a lady. You were at an event and a lady walked into the room and all eyes were on her.
Absolutely.
And it had an impact on you. So talk about that.
That's right, absolutely. Because I had gone to an awards banquet, and what I was wearing a beige suit. And because of what I was wearing, I kind of blended in with the rest of the room. Nobody was excited to see me. But the moment my colleague walked in a beautifully elegant dress, her hair was well coiled, her makeup was intact, everything about her was elegant. And as a result, she created a buzz in the room with her presence. I'm not even sure she realized what was going on, because everyone started calling her name and wanted to take a picture with her. For me, I was stunned. My mouth fell open. I'm thinking, I've never experienced that before. And that was the first time I saw something of that magnitude that really ignited something inside of me that wanted me to know what's the what, the why, and the how. So when time came for me to train in image consulting, etiquette taught me about image consulting, and my first impression, I thought I need that.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to, first of all, I wanted to help myself. I went in to help me, but when I see the advantages, I thought there was no way I could keep it to myself. I must share it with others.
Oh, that's nice. So tell us how you share that with others.
So right now I do image consulting for persons who, like my first client, she was someone who was getting married, and she was a professional herself, and she wanted to enhance her presence, her look, and because she was always a thrifter, she would go to the thrift store to purchase her clothing. She knew nothing about color analysis.
Yeah.
So when I interviewed her and we saw what her needs were and what she was looking for, we were able to dive deep and to give her the full package of image consulting, to give her that confidence that she needs. So when you go in shopping, you're not going to be wasting time purchasing stuff that doesn't suit your lifestyle and your body.
Yeah.
Sometimes we purchase garments and they end up in our closet not being worn because they don't complement us.
Yeah.
So when you know how, it's like you're going for your education and you're training in a particular area. And you're focusing on that. That's you. But when you go outside of that and you're trying to do someone else's job, how do you get that speciality and do so well, it's not for you.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, it's good to have that kind of help, when you're shopping, because I don't know how many times I've bought stuff and then I get it home and I'm thinking, why did that look so much better in the store and on the hanger?
There you go. There you go. Because we tend to purchase what's on the mannequin, what's what's on trend, or even what someone may even suggest, which is not right for us even.
So who's your ideal client?
My ideal client right now, professionals, persons who are getting married and recently married, because I'm kind of focusing on persons in the wedding industry. We recently newlyweds and couples and professionals to help them along, because right now for my business, I think that I'm an extension of the officiant, an extension of the wedding planner.
Oh, okay. And how? What do you do?
So right now, what I'm doing, I'm offering conferences to train bridal parties, well, not even bridal party, but the newlyweds, how to have sustainable marriages. Because I find that people plan for the wedding day, but not for the life after.
Okay.
So how do you navigate the challenges that come? Because the marriage is not all the beauty of the wedding day. Life does happen.
Yeah.
And when it gets down to the rough and the rubble, you got to dive in. How are you going to stay? How are you going to navigate stuff like that? So when they come upon you.
Okay. So what does that look like? Does that look like workshops? Like you mentioned conferences.
I do the conferences.
Yeah.
So my conference, I have different speakers. I have someone who specializes on communication within the relationship. I have a person who does the financial aspect, because money is the number one deterrent in relationships. So for me, I do the home economic skills, because some people aren't versed with cooking and ironing and cleaning certain stuff, even sewing.
Yeah.
So I want to bring the confidence and to know how, because sometimes we dole out money unnecessarily. So where can we save and do it ourselves?
Oh, okay. I like it.
Thank you. And sometimes even we marry across cultures, different personalities, different backgrounds, and how do we tie that in to make it work? For me, 41 years this year, and I think I know a thing or two.
Yeah, oh, good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a long time.
You.
Wow.
Thank you.
So what challenges have you faced with this type of business?
Right now, the challenge is finding the persons who match this lifestyle, who I can help. Because it's kind of new. I just started sometime last year. So I'm trying now to expand my reach to persons who are getting married. So what I'm doing now is to collaborate with other like-minded people in the different industries, wedding planners and networking. Yeah. Just going out and doing a lot of collaboration. You here today, thank you so much for this, because this is now getting the word about that there is someone who can help you when you're looking to get married, when you're starting a new family, new home, everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it. So as far as the image and etiquette consultant, what if someone said what qualifies you to do that? Is there specific training that you did or school that you went to?
Absolutely, yes. I had to go, I did the full training because when I did my training, it was during COVID, everything was online, and I went through the online training, and then at the end of that training, the school suggested that if we wanted further our training, there were schools in Toronto and even in Vancouver. Luckily, the school in Toronto was started within 2 weeks of me completing that first online course. Okay. So I was able to register and get right in. It was initially, secondary to that online, it was another online because COVID was happening. And then we were able to go in-house. This time we needed in-person for the advanced training. Yeah. So I got the full spiel of training in image consulting, which etiquette was also a portion of it, but I've done other etiquette training outside of that to kind of widen my offering. Okay. Yeah, because it's very unique. I didn't even know there was a certification or anything. Very unique business. It is. It's a worldwide industry, and even with my business, I think I didn't even touch on this, is to also train bridal parties how to dine successfully. Because can you imagine you're getting married, you put so much effort into the look for the day, the ambience of the venue, but when we sit to dine, how do we do that successfully? So I want to be able to keep that cohesiveness. So we're dressed like a princess and king and queens for the day, but when we sit and we dine, does that translate? So when I train, you know exactly what to do. Your presence.
How would someone know that they need that? Because I wouldn't even think of that. It's like, okay, I'm sitting at a table and there's a plate, a knife, and a fork, and I just dive in and eat. Like I wouldn't even know that there's a proper way to dine.
Absolutely. There is a way to dine successfully. How you navigate, because when you come to the dining table, you realize there are different, there are layout of the silverware, the plate, the different glasses, when and where they're placed. And how do you use all of that? Because you're paying for everything on that table. Every napkin, every piece of cutlery, you're paying for. So for me, I find that if you're not using those, you're just wasting your money.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. And you teach workshops for kids too, don't you?
I do train because, children are our future. So when we start to training from a young age, that's the men and women of tomorrow. What are we going to have later on? Because for me, I was introduced to etiquette at an early age of 13. So when I was coming to Canada, I got this inclination that here I am, I'm going to be further my training in etiquette.
Okay. When it comes to advice about lifelong learning, what advice would you give someone starting out in business?
Lifelong learning is always needed because technologies, businesses, everything is always changing. If we know before COVID, we were doing things in person. A lot of stuff were being done in person. Then we had to navigate online. There was a hybrid. So when we transition and give ourselves space to grow and to educate ourselves, never stop learning because there's always something new being implemented. Look at AI. Look at where we are today with AI.
Yes.
Before there was nothing like that. You do it yourself, and it's all around us today. So never ever stop learning. Embrace that.
What's your advice when it comes to networking?
Go for it.
Yeah.
For me, I remember there was a time I was not the person who was a social butterfly to go out. And somebody said, because I was putting up my services and hoping that people would come, and somebody said to me, Lorna, nobody knows you. You must go out and network. And for that, I took her up on that advice and I started to go out. Now I go anywhere. I can find somebody who's calling my name.
Okay.
And that's as a result of networking, because people will do business with you if they know you, if they trust you, even if they don't know, but it's not necessarily who you know, but who knows you. That's how it's going to come back.
Okay. And what about when it comes to following your passion?
Oh my gosh, go for it. It's what's in your heart. Go for it. Whatever it takes, if it's a path that you need to go on, take it. What is it going to take? Training? Is it going to take, how long is the training? The cost involved? Is it going to be in person, online? So absolutely go for it, because when you do it, it's one day at a time and you will achieve that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lorna. This was a great conversation. It's great to have you again.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on another episode of At the Heart of Business.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, Squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship.